Good morning, everybody. This is Grant from State of the Spark, and I am super pumped. You're here today, and I'm here today because it's Monday, and we've got a great show for you today. We're going to be talking about something super cool and diving into my research and reading over the weekend and my personal study about personal development, which you might know a little bit about, but I'm going to give you some insight to. We're going to be covering a 3,500-year-old system for personal development that I stumbled on. I'm not going to say it's new, it's newly discovered by me, for me. You've probably seen it before, believe it or not, but you probably didn't know that this was actually originally a personal development system. So we're going to be covering that. But before that, you know we've got other news. And hopefully we do other news so that you realize there's something else going on other than your own echo chamber so that you keep your mind open and flexible, and maybe you have something a little more positive and interesting to share at the water cooler. So that's coming up. And before that, you know what we're going to start with. Morning cup of gratitude. Are you starting your day with a morning cup of gratitude? Do you know how to start your day with gratefulness? Gratitude. If you can't start your day with gratitude, take a time out. Go learn how to meditate. Go open your heart and actually go be grateful for something, because gratitude is the beginning of flow. Gratitude is the beginning of receptiveness. Gratitude is the beginning of love. You can't walk in any of these things if you can't first and foremost be grateful for exactly where you're at. And you know, I'm going to start with my own morning cup of gratitude. Let's do it. I am absolutely grateful for my workouts and my nutrition plan. I did cheat over the weekend. I'm not afraid to say I ate good stuff. But here's the thing, I didn't eat a lot of it. And I am so grateful for that. When I went to the gym, my weight was correct. My fitness was still in place. My exercise numbers were still in place. I am so grateful for a life of exercise and fitness. I am also grateful for, yes, books. I'm so grateful for books. Boom! Blake says, grateful grand rising. What's grand rising? I got to know about that, my man. Good morning, Blake. I hope you're doing fantastic. Thanks for stopping by, and thank you for expressing your gratitude. Maybe grand rising is an event. Maybe it's something that's in you. I don't know, but I love it, and thank you for sharing your gratitude, because if you can't express what you're grateful for, it's kind of like not even being that doggone grateful. Boom, there we go. So that's what I'm grateful for. Blake is grateful for grand rising. I'm grateful for books because there is wisdom. I don't care if it's digital books. People took the time to codify their thoughts in more than just a tweet. You guys know I love Twitter. Go follow me on Twitter. I love Twitter. But I really love books. There's wisdom, which is how we got the lesson today of a 3,500-year-old leadership system, which you didn't even know was a leadership system. We're going to talk about that. But that's what I'm grateful for. If you're catching this at any time of the day, please take a moment for yourself and write down in the comments something you're grateful for so I can hype it, so I can encourage it. Let's talk about other news. News that'll make you smarter. Let's talk about it. Oh, Emily. Emily says, gratitude is the key. Emily, I always mispronounce your name. Good morning. I hope you're doing fantastic. What are you grateful for today? It's not morning for you necessarily. It's a little more into the mid-morning. But what are you grateful for today, Emily? I'd love to actually connect sometime. When are we going to connect and talk about real estate? Hope you're doing great. Let's talk about other news. First, I want to share with you the markets for those waking up in the United States anyway, and I share the markets with you to desensitize you so that you don't absolutely panic when people say the markets are up and the markets are down and Pepe's doing this and Pepe's doing that. Emily says, grateful for her community. Oh, Michelle says, grateful for her community. Good morning, Michelle. And Michelle knows how to cultivate community, whether it was in a coffee shop or in a co-working space. Michelle knows. Boom! Good morning, Michelle. Hope you're doing great. So the markets, let's share with that real quick so that you're not affected negatively by the markets. When people say high, low, you don't have an emotional response. You stick to your financial freedom plans, your investment plans. So real quick, in the United States, the Dow is at 34,200. Last week on our report, it was 33,800. It's up a little bit, but not that much and not that little. The S&P 500 is at 4,188. Last week when our report was at 4,148. Again, it's nearly flat. Emily says, grateful for her connections, which is just like Michelle Harvey's community, pretty much. Grateful for connections and all the tools we have to work and change everything, to change all. And I cannot resonate enough with this. We have the tools. We have the knowledge. I think that we are no longer in the information age. We are in the omniscience age. We have all knowledge at our fingertips, and now we have to gather ourselves up and lead ourselves, which is why we're talking about a leadership system today, so that we get clarity, we get our goals in front of us, and we start pushing away the extraneous and focus on on working and changing, hopefully, the world. Emily, thank you so much for taking the time to share what you're grateful for. I love it. Lastly, the NASDAQ's at 13,300. Last time when I reported is at 13,037. So the markets are up a little bit, and we could talk about a trend. We could say it's trending up, and then you'll go, Grant, are we in a bull market? And I'm like, I'm not going to say any of that. I'm just going to say that the TradFi markets, the traditional markets, are on their way up. Real quick, the DeFi markets, and then we're going to talk about hugs, not drugs. Let's talk about it. In the DeFi markets, Bitcoin's at 28,500. Ooh. Someone says, Facebook user, your identity didn't come through. Forgive me. Grateful for Cohatch and some awesome relationships. For those that don't know, Cohatch is another co-working space here in Lakeland, Florida that has its own flavor, and I think they're a nationwide brand. Catapult, where Michelle Harvey's at, is a phenomenal local place. Cohatch, which is a nationwide brand but local, they have a phenomenal setup. It's cute, it's cozy, they got good coffee. You have your options when it comes to co-working community. So hashtag Facebook user, please tell me who you are so I can hype you and shout out and thank you for joining me this morning. Bitcoin's at 28,500. Last time I reported to 27,300. It's about flat on the market week over week. Ethereum's at about 1,845. Last week it was at what? 1,841. $3 difference. It means it's roughly flat. Are we in a bull market, bear market? I don't even know. Don't worry. You're smarter than that. You're not panicked. You just have your plan. Real quick, Cardano ADA is at 38 or almost 39 cents. Last week it was at 38.5 cents. XRP Ripple is at 46 cents. And last week it was at 46 cents. The markets are nearly flat. Do not get sucked into the hype, my friends. Let's talk about hugs, not drugs. This goes in the duh column. But in the duh column, there was a recent Italian study. And by recent, I mean during the pandemic. They were concerned about mental health. And you guys know I'm all about personal development, positive feelings, controlling your state of mind and state of heart and your energetic state. This Italian study published in Brain Sciences. Aw, Lisa Welsh, how are you doing? Glad she can listen to this while she runs deliveries. Aw, Lisa Welsh, good to hear from you. I miss seeing your lovely face around. This Italian study was published in Brain Sciences, and I have a reference there for you, of about 1,000 respondents, 991. 57% of them were female, ages 18 to 85 years old. And in this study, they found something that we all already know, but actually had very little research for, believe it or not, and that is simply this. Touches, socially appropriate touches, like hugs, cheek kisses, high fives, elbow touches, a pat on the shoulder, or just a straight up hug, led to less, or is correlated with less depression. Now, they make a very clear distinction here. They do not know from the research if hugging reduces depression or if people who are less depressed are more likely to hug. They don't really know. But what I'm going to encourage you is this. For those of us that are in the crypto sphere, for those of you watching like Emily, I know she's in the crypto sphere, maybe Blake Burns is, some of my other local people, we can get sucked into this little box all day long to build our businesses, to build our brands, to do lives like this, to do interviews. I probably do 10 or 12 interviews a week with people in crypto, with people in small business, coaching calls. And we have a phrase in a lot of these spaces called go touch grass, meaning unplug. Take your headset off, turn the TV off, turn the screen off, turn your phone off, and walk outside, take your shoes off, and walk around in the grass. For those who of the spiritually inclined know that this is called grounding. Go touch grass, but you know what? Go touch a person, consensually. Go give someone a hug. Give someone a cheek kiss. Go do coffee. If you are feeling depressed, invite someone else to coffee in spite of the fact you might not feel that, and it might take everything within you to do. Go touch their elbow, go give them a hug, go give them a high five, and they'll do in kind, and I guarantee your serotonin level, your oxytocin levels will increase. Basically, your neurotransmitters will reward you for that act, and slowly but surely it will help you dig out of depression. Let me give you a quick link if you want to read more on validating the fact that you and I both know that hugging people's good for the freaking soul. Blake Burns says, boom! Where's Blake? Grateful for your positivity, Grant. Grounding is key. Blake, you are pumping me up this morning, sir. I really appreciate it. Let's talk about real quick the last comic strip, and then I'm going to give you this 3,500-year-old self-leadership system. Stick around. Let's talk about the last comic strip. The decline of newspapers, yes, local newspapers, has an overlooked creation going extinct. And this is comic strips. Now, see, I grew up loving Gary Larson's The Far Side and its irony and its sarcasm. I also loved the ever-philosophical Calvin and Hobbes, and even made my first commercial money at roughly the age of 8 or 9 by drawing comics. I love drawing comics. I was going to go to Savannah College of Art and Design for sequential art, which, for those who don't know, is comic art. I drew my first comic very young and actually made money when a local person was running for mosquito control board. Yes, that's a real role in the state of Florida. If you've ever been here, we have mosquitoes. And someone is in charge of running that. And at a young age, they commissioned me $40 to draw Super Skeeter. It was my first comic book, my first cartoon, and my first public sale. And I started selling art at that young age to start paying for things that I could do during the summer when I wasn't in school. I loved comics. You know who else loved comics? Bill Blackbeard. Bill Blackbeard also loved comics, so much so that in his lifetime, he collected over 2.5 million newspaper-clipped comics, comic strips, and comic art. Now, this must have seemed flaky to most people. Why? Because newspapers were coming out every day. New comics were being drawn every day and distributed all around the country. Imagine The Far Side or Garfield or Marmaduke or any of these comic strips growing up when we were kids being printed and published every single day, and the creativity that must have taken. And others must have thought that Bill Blackbeard was crazy. Bill Blackbeard just loved these stinking comics. He loved comic strips like I did, and he would clip them. And when he would travel abroad, he would actually look at their local newspaper, whether he understood the language or not, and he would clip them. Well, Bill Blackbeard's no longer here, and you know what else is no longer here? Newspapers with comic strips. Now, for those, like my good friend Jackie Roach, who reads the Buffalo Times every day, you might still find comic strips in your local paper. But most of you are probably scratching your head thinking, I don't even remember the last time I saw a comic strip in a newspaper. And neither did Bill. Bill didn't know when the next time would be when he'd find that next well-drawn, well-thought-through, humorous comic strip. Now, his collection, after he passed, of 2.5 million comic strips is now being exhibited. And what is the lesson here for us? You guys know that I wouldn't touch anything if it didn't have a lesson. What's the lesson here? Well, something that might seem dark, but is also encouraging on the other end, and it is this. You never know when what you're doing is the last time you'll do that thing. You never know that the next time you go for a hike is just the last time because your life gets busy. You never know that the next time you travel to a foreign country might be the last time because you get married and have kids or get distracted or a business or a job distracts you. You never know when you're going to walk to the farmer's market and it's just the last time and you don't even think about it because it's more convenient to order from DoorDash or to go to the grocery store. You never know when the last time that you paint a painting or clip a comic strip like Bill Blackbeard did. You never know when the last time you'll actually receive the newspaper at your house because you're just going to start reading the news online and you don't even think that that's the last time you're going to read a comic strip. Can you stop today and enjoy the very thing you're doing, mundane as it might seem, as if it were the last time you were to do that stinking thing so that you enjoy it? Because it might be the last time you can ever enjoy that thing because it goes extinct. Roger Williams, my man, good morning. I hope you're doing so good this morning. Roger, you're killing it in your field. I've been watching some of your posts. Fantastic stuff. I can't wait to hear more. So for the last comic strip, I am going to give you a link that I recommend you check out and become introspective and internalize this fact that the thing you do today, Not because you might drop dead and die, which might happen. I had a good friend or a good acquaintance die last week of a sudden heart attack. He was 7 years younger than me. 7 years younger than me. Ooh, Roger Williams says he grounds twice a day for 30 minutes. Now listen, that means that over an hour a day, Roger Williams re-anchors himself in this world. I recommend that for you. I did a meditation this morning that only lasted 7 minutes, and it changed my day, changed my paradigm. Roger Williams is juiced, grounding twice a day. Good for you, Roger. Thank you for leading by example. So whether it's reading a comic strip and just the zen of being present and laughing, having a warm cup of coffee with me in the morning, or grounding like Roger Williams does, I encourage you to learn the lesson. And the lesson is this. Do the thing you're doing as if it's the last time you'll do it. This is the key to spirituality, whether you're spiritual or not. This is the key to Zen, whether you're into Zen or not. This is the key to joy. This is the key to extraordinary, excellent living. Do the thing you're doing as if it's the last time you'll do it. Let's talk about a 3,500-year-old personal development leadership system and what it means for you. Usually I take this moment to share a little bit about our businesses and what's going on in the businesses. I'm going to skip that today because I want to get right to this teaching because I think you'll really get a lot out of it. You see, recently on a trip to New York City, I wish I had met you there, Roger Williams. Roger is not directly involved with crypto as much, but he is involved in innovation and technology. I hope we get to sync up sometime, Roger. Recently on a trip to New York, I was at a meeting, a networking meeting that I and my friends Jarrett and Austin put on, and we were fortunate enough to meet extraordinarily intelligent people who I've connected with since then, and they have become what I would consider acquaintances and friends that are amazing. And one of the things we were discussing is the life cycle that our industry was in. Now, in this particular industry, we are talking about Web3 and crypto technologies. But I think it kind of goes for any technology and a lot of technologies that surround web technologies at large. You see, a lot of projects have failed out of nowhere. A lot of individuals are feeling lost. A lot of DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations, a lot of token projects, a lot of really good tech has just fallen to the wayside. And we were looking at that thinking, well, that's just the life cycle. There's the initial surge, just like the internet launch of roughly 98, 99, and the bubble popped. And the bubble popped and a lot of consolidation occurred. And in that consolidation that occurred, some stuck around and made it and others did not. We were discussing this, but what we were really discussing is that, well, a lot of these projects were actually led by the technicians. There was a major lack of leadership. There was a major lack of experience. There was a major lack of gray hairs. People who have spent years building businesses and failing, but failing in their early days so that people today didn't have to fail. Now, this particular web technology group, crypto and Web3, they're largely resistant to what might be termed boomers. They're largely resistant to institutionalization. They're largely resistant to anyone coming in and telling them maybe a better way to do things. However, this is the exact thing we need. You see, not only is leadership lacking from crypto and web tech, personal development is lacking from crypto, Web3, and most of the technology space. You see, there's a double-edged sword in tech. You have to be audacious and bold and believe in yourself to think of a new thought, to think of a piece of technology and put it out there. You have to be bold. And you have to be resilient to the naysayers. So you develop these walls that resist other people and resist naysayers. But what about when you actually are at a plateau? Because technicians themselves are not necessarily great operators. Some are. But most technically inclined innovators are not good operators. And they need someone with experience to come in and tell them a better way to do it. But they're so used to stiff-arming and pushing away people's opinions that they might miss this. And this is what happened definitely in crypto in 2000, 2001. Basically in the latest crypto winter has been a resistance from actually making deep intrinsic change in themselves and in others. And therefore, they themselves have gotten stuck and they don't have the personal development systems they need. Therefore, they don't have the leadership systems they need. Now, on top of that, a compound that's going on right now is that it seems like it's more chaotic out there than it has ever been. And I present for your consideration, is it more chaotic? Well, we have more exposure to information. Is it more information? It's definitely more information. We're basically overwhelmed by info. Blake jumps in and says, most people overestimate what they can accomplish in a year and underestimate what they can achieve in a decade. 100%. And Blake, most people are sprinting through their 1 year, their 2 year, and they're burning out with no real, what I call within what we at State of the Spark call freedom frameworks. And we are codifying our freedom frameworks. We'll be publishing more of these soon. But one of the freedom frameworks that I'll share with you in a minute is called the grid of success. I'm going to put it up here on the screen in just a quick second. Roger says this, definitely, Grant. Let's meet up and catch up soon. Definitely looking forward to meeting in the physical world this year. Love your spiritual ascension. We're all amazing creators. We are. You know, in the Christian circles I run with now and again, they say we were created in the image of our Creator. Therefore, we are creative. Whatever your belief is, doesn't matter. You know that all of us have a seed of creation within us. What do they say? Milky Way in my veins, right? That's the song going around the TikTok sphere. So the world is chaotic and there's an overwhelming abundance of information that we really struggle to deal with in this omniscience age. And we don't know how to process that. But more than that, the individual does not have a construct to govern themselves. So I have sought to solve this with something I call the grid of success, demystifying motivational masters. And I'm going to share my screen real quick on this. I have devoted my life to building a framework so that people can not only know where they're at in reality, know where they're at in society, know where they're at in their own personal development journey, but also be able to choose from all the voices out there. You guys know that there are a lot of gurus. There's a lot of people on Twitter, or there's a lot of people on Instagram, there's a lot of people on Facebook selling you, on YouTube, selling you their program. That's great. But you pick up a program and it doesn't stick with you. This is where the grid of success comes in. I've started years ago in all of my reading putting people down here like Abraham Maslow of Maslow's Hierarchy of Needs, Joseph Campbell, The Hero's Journey, and putting together the correlations so that you can see nearly all personal development and self-leadership systems are the same. They're ancient principles. And the most primitive of them is probably the seasons. Spring, summer, fall, winter. And we're largely getting out of touch with these metaphors and allegories because we're no longer an agrarian society. We're an informational society. And there are no seasons, at least that we can see, in an information-based society. Now, you could spend time meditating on what Tony Robbins says, or Napoleon Hill from Think and Grow Rich, or what Apprenticeship says, or what Robert Kiyosaki says of Rich Dad Poor Dad, or what the Ideo Group with Tim Brown says about childhood creativity and the role play and building with your hands and exploring and awe. There's probably a lot there that we could unpack and discuss. But this latest leadership system that's 3,500 years old, I've known about it, but I stumbled into how it's actually a personal development system that falls on the grid of success. So without sharing it just yet, I'm going to share with you this system. And I'm going to read a little bit from this. Not read a lot. I'm just going to share with you the principles of stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, and stage 4, and show you of this awesome additional leadership system that you can take with you through your day. So here we go. It was built 3,500 years ago. It was a social framework for how to know where you fit. Sounds a lot like the grid of success. The first one, stage 1 we'll call it, was what I call sparking vision and values. The role of a person at this stage of their personal development. So first off, most people are going through life with the brain turned off and they're zombies. Most people are walking through life completely lost on how to make a decision, knowing where they're at, knowing whether to choose A or B, knowing whether to say yes to this thing or no to another thing. They have no idea, so they grab at anything. They experience FOMO. When they're working, they're thinking about taking time off. When they have time off, they're thinking about working because they are insecure about who they are and where they live. And most of these people you could generalize as zombies. They're not really self-aware and they don't do any introspection. Now, a lot of people are in this state just because they're overwhelmed. But if they started on the right path, and I showed you from the grid of success, it kind of doesn't matter which guru you start with. They can turn a light switch on to make you realize there is more so long as you had a freedom framework. So in stage one of this new system, or this system that's new to me, stage one follows the SPARK vision of basically finding your goals and gratitude. In the SPARK system, Spark Your Vision, you discover your goals. In this system, they said 3,500 years ago, in the text, they said, discover your place in the world. Render service to others in order to learn. Take pride in your daily work. Take pride in learning how to be loyal to others so you know how to be loyal to yourself. And follow general moral principles. Morality isn't the goal, but morality is the starting point of creating your own internal compass. That was stage one. People who had generally been lost could step into this and start executing on these principles. Serve others so that you know how to serve. Take pride in your work so you know how to identify what works. Learn how to be loyal so you can learn how to be loyal to yourself. Follow general moral principles. That's a great framework. In the Spark Freedom Framework, we would just call this sparking vision and values. Beginning to develop your own compass, your own internal compass. We say that humans are teleological. Stage two of this 3,500-year-old system was this. What we might call in the Spark system, igniting success. Spark vision, ignite success. And this stage two system, they said this. The goal is to generally create some degree of wealth and prosperity for yourself. To actually create wealth and prosperity for your coworkers or maybe even employees. To maintain workers and to provide abundant food and clothing for them. To trade ethically. 3,500 years ago, they were talking about trading ethically. And then in your trade, protecting the earth. 3,500 years ago, they were saying this. Ethically sourced things and also environmentally ethically sourced to protect the land, the animals. Stage two, igniting success was not just about creating wealth like we do in our capitalist society at all cost, but creating wealth following an ethical system while also stewarding the earth. Dang! 3,500. This was BCE. This is nuts. The third phase was this. What in Spark system we call explode significance. In Spark, we say spark your vision first, ignite your success second, and then third, explode significance, taking what you learn about success and vision and success and making it about others. And this system, stage three, said this. Conquer your own mind and senses and enjoy only according to that which works in the world. Take responsibilities for the shortcomings of your city and village. Be true to your own word. Protect others from harm, especially the vulnerable. Ensure that citizens are performing as citizens and not just consumers. 3,500 years ago, they would say, get your goals right, spark your vision, or phase one. Phase two, ignite success, create wealth, and provide for others. Phase three was then giving back, protecting citizens from harming others. Be the first to enter fights that matter for your municipality or your village. Never refuse internally something that challenges you. Don't refuse it and hide from it and run away, but encounter it. We're talking about spiritual cultivation here, exploding significance, written 3,500 years ago. Begin to take on wisdom and counsel, especially from those above you. Start to learn that which is ancient principles and scriptural. And deal uncompromisingly with law. This was basically becoming an apex citizen. After you had focused on your business and knew how to build income, start giving back. Start giving alms to the poor. Start protecting the vulnerable. And start engaging in your local city. This is huge that this was written as an ancient text. And then stage four was this. In Spark, we say, spark your vision, ignite your success, explode your significance, and radiate purpose. In this system, they said, connect with God by connecting with others. Develop all the ideal qualities. Study and teach the ancient texts. Perform ceremonies, rites, and rituals so that you can help usher others into their own journey, starting with Spark Vision. Basically, stage four people are helping stage one people start their own journey. Receive alms and give alms openly. Offer guidance to people on other stages in the journey. To never accept paid employment anymore. We call this radiating purpose. Now you can hear how profound this is as an ancient text. They were stewarding the earth. They were building business. They had a framework. So what is this ancient framework? It's the caste system in India, the Varna system. Now, the Varna system was not originally intended to be a caste system. It was originally intended to be a way for you to know where you're at and how to progress. Today's caste system and the way we perceive the caste system says whatever you are, you're stuck in. If you're an untouchable, which correlates to the zombie-minded people who aren't really thinking, you're stuck there and that's your lot in life. That was not the original intent of the Varna system. It was to know where you're at in the world, and you could move up or down based on how you contributed. I have now added this to the grid of success for demystifying motivational masters. So what am I here to tell you? There are immutable principles in this world that go back thousands of years, probably millennia. From seasons to the Varna caste system to the spark system of spark your vision, ignite your success, explode your significance, and radiating purpose. You need to adopt the freedom framework and study it out so that you know how to apply yourself and you know what season you're in. And we've discovered that maybe what we might dismiss in the West when we look east and see the caste system and go, that's ridiculous, that oppresses people. Yes, how people can misapply ancient leadership systems definitely can begin to oppress people, but that doesn't mean the thing itself in its original intent is oppressive. That means people do power dynamics. We think of this in the Christian church. A lot of Christianity was meant to originally be a spiritual journey that's all inspiring, not an oppressive set of laws to any particular group. Yet that's what people have made them. When we misapply the ancient principles, they become dogma. Hear that again. When we misapply ancient principles, they become dogma and definitely will begin to oppress people. But that doesn't mean you throw out the ancient principles. That means you throw out the voice of people perverting them. I just share with you today so that you actually land on a freedom framework that works for you and walk it out. Whether you pay attention to the seasons, whether you follow Tony Robbins, whether you follow Furakazan, which is a Japanese framework, it doesn't matter where you start. If you're religious and dogmatic, this will threaten your framework. Why? Because you have power dynamics that are causing you to be on top of others. And when I'm saying right now, you'll dismiss as universal, you'll dismiss as scary or demonic or wrong, but really it's threatening your power construct, and I empathize with that. But it's wrong. Your system, your freedom framework should lift other people up and encourage them to walk along the journey to their own freedom. And no, we're not talking about flag waving, Americanism. No, we're not talking only about financial freedom. We're talking about freedom of the heart that's as immutable as these principles. Grant, you're Mr. Crypto. Why are you talking about this? Grant, you're Mr. Small Business. Why are you talking about this? Grant, you're Mr. Fitness. Why are you messing with any of this? We're talking about this because I want you to remember the mission today and this week as you positively, massively impact other people. And it's this: ignite your life of explosive significance, starting with your own. Have a great day.